The Houston Rockets are doing the improbable in this first round series against the Warriors, slowly and methodically coming back from a 3-1 deficit to force a winner-take-all Game 7 at home. And they're doing it in two very unique ways we need to look at. One is an amorphous zone that shifts and shapes into a confusing array of hands and feet and closeouts and contests. The other key is a mountain of a man, someone we'd all forgotten about after sitting out last year. Whatever you do, don't say he's Australian, since this Kiwi has had the biggest impact of anybody in this series. So allow me to reintroduce you to Steven frickin' Adams. Conveniently, he was an instrumental part of their zone defense that confused the Warriors much of last night, so focusing on him covers both bases in one shot. The first thing I want to point out is his threat as an offensive rebounder. He sprints all the way from 32 feet out, knowing the weak side is where these types of shots usually bounce to. And this directly leads to the Warriors having to foul instead of give up a layup to Sengun. Now watch these two possessions in the second half, where you'll see 4 Warriors pack the paint to secure that defensive rebound. Why is this notable? Well, when you have this many players going for the rebound, you don't get on the fast break. And it was a fast pace where they could attack before the defense set up. It was their biggest advantage. In the first half, with Adams on the bench, you can see how much more space the Warriors can play in when the Rockets miss a shot, which happened plenty of times with a team that doesn't score particularly well. That said, even with 4 guys crashing on this possession, because Curry can shoot himself out of a cannon with the rebound, they have instant numbers, and he can take care of business himself when Dillon Brooks turns his back and loses separation for just a split second. But these types of plays all but dried up in the second half as it got harder and harder to push the ball as the game wore on. Adams' impact was felt on most possessions he was in, primarily because of his rebounding. Check the shot he gives post to let him know he's there. He continues wrestling and tips the ball out to save the possession, right to Aaron Holiday for an open 3. If you're wondering why he only had 5 rebounds, it's because plays like this were counted as an offensive rebound for Holiday. The Rockets also tried cross-matching with Adams guarding Moses Moody, which lured him into several shots that just aren't in his wheelhouse, as Adams is able to contest this off-foot lefty drifting layup into a miss. Moses did get some revenge as Adams forgot he was guarding him for a second, and Moody gets a good look from the top of the key. But he tries another drive across the lane. While he might have a step, a one-handed sweeping bank shot high off the glass proved too difficult a shot, made harder by the tough contest by Adams and then Smith Jr. The Warriors tried to hack at Adams by fouling him off ball before it got to the last 2 minutes of any quarter. In the 8 fouls they took, he hit 9 free throws for a 1.125 points per possession. But that's not the full story of this strategy's lack of effectiveness. Twice, Sengun got the offensive rebound on poor box-out technique, adding 4 more points to the total for an outrageous 1.625 points per possession. In contrast, the Rockets only scored 1 point per possession on all other half-court attacks. Now it's time to get into the Rockets zone, something that stymied the vaunted Warriors attack completely as they've started to run it more and more as the series goes on. It started out resembling a basic 2-3 zone, but notice that as soon as the first pass is made, it morphs into a man-to-man, guarding whomever they were closest to. Next, they want to double Steph as much as possible to force anyone else to beat them, and it creates a turnover when there simply was nowhere for Podziemski to go along the baseline. The Warriors were able to hurt the zone by utilizing shooter's gravity. Post has some of it, so Smith steps up in case they skip it to him, and that allows Draymond Green to sneak behind him for the nice pass from Jimmy. And Golden State is trying to get penetration by setting an inside ball screen on the guard. The problem is, Adams is standing right at the nail just waiting for it. Another key way to penetrate is between the forward and the guard. As Draymond lures Sengun into needlessly helping, Adams is already there, and it gets them a wide open corner 3. But in the second half, the Rockets started utilizing a zone into man-to-man that got a lot of stops. The 2-guard front up top signals to the offense as a zone, but once the ball screen action is run for Jimmy, notice how everyone is now guarding a man. Suddenly, there's less than 10 seconds on the shot clock, and they haven't really looked at the rim yet. The low post split with Jimmy coming off isn't a shooting threat, so the Rockets can bottle it up easily. Jimmy gets caught up in the air, and they have to burp up a bad shot at the shot clock buzzer. Again, they show zone with Adams at the nail directing traffic, but the peril of switching back and forth mid-possession is that one of your defenders might forget to pick up a man, as Eason holds his zone position while his man is cutting baseline for the dunk. What was interesting about this one is that Adams goes low to pick up Butler to start, as Thompson passes post off to Eason, and Van Vliet decouples from Curry to pick up Butler at the top of the key. If necessary, Adams will come out of the paint to contest a corner three. Curry is setting up another skip to a wide open Moody, but not only does Post not see it, he takes a long two with 10 seconds in the shot clock. How about a triangle and two? You can see Green hugging up on Butler and Van Vliet totally connected to Curry, while the other three zone around the lane. This leaves them susceptible to the garden spot, but BP cannot make them pay. Same idea here, and it allows the Warriors to get the others involved in advantages. The skip gave them a 2-on-1 on the left side, Podziemski opts for the open three and hits it. They try to box in one to key in on Curry, as Van Vliet ignores the ball to stick to him. This effectively took Curry out of the possession, so they went to Butler in the 4-on-4 attack. With Draymond, Butler, and Payton out there, the Rockets can ignore them on the perimeter, and there's no way to get penetration. And here comes our old friend Steven Adams moving his feet to just erase this Butler baseline drive. This was harder to figure out. Maybe a triangle and two on Curry and Butler, but Thompson quickly passes Curry off to Adams on the block, and some guys are playing man while others are playing zone, which is why Podziemski is wide open on this cut. Unfortunately for the Warriors, he's not looking back at the ball, and at this point it becomes a man-to-man as the ball is moving, with Adams having to deal with Curry in the perimeter as he gets backdoored for a layup. But the game shifted to the Rockets for good in this sequence, as they show another 2-3 extended zone with pressure, but once the ball swung to Draymond on the left wing, everybody picks up a man. With the offense trying to attack a zone but realizing it's man, everything grinds to a halt, clearing the way for Jimmy to isolate. While that was going okay to begin with, Adams needs only take 2 steps over to get up and block this one away. The Warriors try to set a double ball screen on the two guards up top in the zone. Curry finds an opening to the short roll before even using the second screen, and you'd normally see Green take a dribble, force Adams to step up to him, and then kick it to the corner for a shooter for an open three. But Gary Payton simply is not a shooter, so he cuts, and Adams is there to deflect the pass into a steal. Here is the same double ball screen out top, and I thought Butler had a chance to throw a nifty lead bounce pass to Curry right here, but they miss it, and Curry is clearly getting frustrated and just jacks one up early and contested. The fourth quarter Blues against their zone continued as they kept trying to set an inside screen for Curry. It's just not effective, as Van Vliet can load to the ball as a second defender and then watch everyone pick up a man. Trying to shift into a man-to-man attack with 11 seconds of the shot clock is hard, as Curry does get open with Şengün in the hot pursuit, which forces Van Vliet to wisely double to get it out of his hands. Now, the Warriors have the defense in full scramble as Green flies by, but Şengün had picked up the cutting Jimmy, which brought him right into the help defense with Adams offering support behind. The dreaded contested mid-range shot from Moody has a chance to be corralled by a teammate until, you guessed it, our man Adams is there to ceaselessly fight for it until his teammate can grab it for the stop. Playing zone can also give you an advantage when you surprise them by switching back to man-to-man all of a sudden. There's some confusion about getting the double pin down for Steph on the right side, right up until the point where Draymond throws this pass off of Şengün's ass. They did somehow turn this into an open-heeled corner three. He missed all of his shots in Game 6, and it led to one more hack in Adams as the game was about to slip away. While it feels like we should point the finger at Draymond for getting muscled under the hoop by Şengün too easily, this is really on Butler for clearing his area too far, since the ball went right to where he should have been on the right side of the lane. Şengün hit both his free throws, and the Warriors never challenged again, as they essentially got blown out for the second consecutive game, having to figure out a way to attack their zone more efficiently and stop the inexorable force from down under and to the right.